We'll just give it one more minute, but I'd love to get a little bit of a lay of the land and understand who we're speaking to today. I'm terrible with names, but if we could just go around real quick and state your name and just your involvement with the school district, that'd be really helpful. Why don't we actually just start in the back so that's like a little snake? Yeah. And does everybody in here know each other? I'm the only one that's like getting introduced right now.
Right.
Fantastic.
I'm Dolores, Director of Special Education.
Great.
Steve Principal, Harvey Elementary.
I got a meeting Principal Roosevelt Walker.
Amazing.
North Patterson Principal at Jackson Elementary School.
Awesome.
Jennifer Taylor, Assistant Principal at Monte Vista. I am
Okay.
Bianca, Assistant Superintendent of Teaching. I guess we're going with Gloria, Bianca's partner.
Amazing. Okay. We're just going around real quick just so I can contextualize this a little bit better. Amazing. Okay.
Brian Murray, Coordinator of Special Ed Transition Services.
Amazing.
Maria, Senior Executive Secretary to Deputy Superintendent.
Susie Gonzalez, Executive Assistant to the Department.
Great.
I'm Cecilia, Executive Secretary to Deputy Superintendent.
Amazing.
Ivana Olsen, Executive Secretary to our Superintendent.
Amazing. Okay.
Maribel Contreras, Administrative Secretary to School to Police.
Amazing.
Berta Benavides, Willard Intermediate Principal.
Aaron Landry, Assistant Principal, Willard Intermediate.
Amazing.
Fernando Duran, Principal at Monroe Elementary.
Amazing.
Sam Perla, Principal at King Elementary.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here. I know that there's a really cool session going on with the metaverse. Even I want to join that one. Did I miss somebody?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Oralia Cordova, Principal, Lydia Romero Cruz Academy.
Oh, I love that. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. This is the first time I've been among so many principals and not been in trouble, so I'm really excited about that. This topic is really important to me for a couple different reasons. For one, to be honest, when I was growing up, I actually wanted to be a teacher, and it was because of my second grade teacher who made a move from my first grade school to my second grade school really comfortable. She gave me a lot of confidence. She made me feel like I was at home when I felt really out of place, because truly I'm a really shy person, and this setting, the only reason it works is because we don't have to like go back and forth. I just get to talk this time. But in addition to that, when I look forward, when I was in elementary school or middle school, my sixth grade teacher let me know that she thought I had really strong writing skills and communication skills. And those two teachers for me, I really believe they helped shape my future, because it gave me the confidence I needed to be like audacious in different career settings. And thinking that I had a superpower like writing and communication made me feel like I might have been equipped to be a leader of any sort, or at least a teacher. And so the fact that you all have the opportunity here to not just impact your colleagues and your workmates, this trickles down all the way down to our students. And we're able to create environments where those students can feel safe, where they can communicate better, and eventually become better leaders as well. So again, thank you so much for being here. I'm really excited to share this with you. One of the problem that we're actually going to be addressing today is the gap between millennials and Gen Z. Now, with that being said, there are gaps between any generation and just people in general. If you've noticed, even a couple years might make a difference in how somebody communicates and their preferences. So we see that this gap actually stems from differing expectations, communication styles, and approaches to technology and empathy. And so our challenge today is to find an effective way to bridge this gap to foster cohesive and productive work environments, right? And these work environments are obviously, we're gonna learn a lot of these things in school, and they come up with us. So I'd love to know if you're interacting with, without like giving out too much tea, if you're interacting with students, or if you're interacting with colleagues on a regular basis, what are some of the challenges that you're seeing in the workplace? I'd love to just get 2 or 3 opinions. I will pick on you if I need to. Let's start here.
You're talking about like generational gaps with?
Yeah, or just challenges in general when it comes to leadership and management.
Trying to find like communicating to people. Sometimes we have like new people that come in, and then we have older people that come in, people that have worked there for a while. me telling them the same thing, where they both appreciate it.
Got
Does
it.
that makes sense? Because
Yeah.
one's already been there for a while, and maybe they feel they know a lot, and the other person is new, but you want to treat them both with respect.
Definitely. Are there anybody like interacting with students on a regular basis? Great. What would you say is one of the challenges that you're facing right now when it comes to leadership, maybe your leadership with students?
Well, the students are, there's a gap between some of the adults and the students. So the students are so immersed in the technology, and then you have some old, well, not older, tenured experienced educators that may not be as advanced as their students. And sometimes what we're seeing is that some are embracing and are empathetic and allow those students to be the teachers, right? And learning and teaching others of technology use. But then you have your seasoned educators that won't allow some other students to move on because it's their control.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's an interesting thing to hear, and I wonder, are they being empathetic or are they enabling? But that's like a completely different conversation, I think. One of the challenges that I found in our workplace is that a lot of the younger professionals that come in, our organization, I'll share a little bit more later, is that we get a lot of new grads from college, so we are dealing with Gen Z, those types of things, and they're very reluctant to communicate outside of social media and via text message. And in our business, we actually have a lot of like client meetings, face-to-face things, and they become so nervous around these interactions that are actually, a normal thing. And I think that is going to need to continue to happen, obviously. And for them to thrive, they need to learn how to, or at least adapt to be able to communicate in those ways, in face-to-face ways, and even on Zoom. So those are some of the things that we'll be tackling today. In addition to that, we're also going to understand the perspectives of millennial leaders and Gen X professionals. We're going to identify the essential skills that each generation is bringing to the workplace, and we're going to find their overlapping values between millennials and Gen Z. And then finally, we're going to use ChatGPT to enhance empathy, communication, and leadership. And then we can participate in a workshop where I can just share with you. It's up to you. Out of curiosity, is anybody using ChatGPT right now on a regular basis? Yes. Makes it a little bit easier. I'm excited to learn how everybody's using it as well. I don't know if I formally introduced myself, but my name is Mikhail. First and foremost, I'm a proud father and husband. I'm also the co-founder of Blue Light Media. We're a digital marketing agency based in Costa Mesa. And we've been in business for 10 years working with young professionals who are just coming out of college, who are doing their internships and things of that nature. And through all of those experiences, we started to uncover some of the gaps between even myself and some of the people that we're bringing in, which really sparked the idea behind this. In addition to that, I host a podcast, so I like to talk a lot, as you can probably tell, and I'm a small group pastor at Echo Church. So let's look into the modern workplace right now. When we look at the graph here, we see that the modern workplace is actually comprised almost equally of Gen X, Millennials, and Gen Z. But the thing is, Gen X is getting close to entering another stage of their careers and potentially retiring in another stage of their life. So a lot of the leadership positions that are taken up right now by Gen X are actually going to be taken by Millennials. And it's actually shown that Millennials could potentially take up about 75% of the global workforce, which is a staggering amount. So first we have to understand who's comprising of the workplace. And then after that, we have to understand what the preferences are. 61% of Gen Z employees prefer to learn from experienced colleagues over formal training programs. And this wasn't something that I really had access to even in my own career. I remember distinctly watching a lot of videos to teach me how to do things at different jobs that I was at. And so it's important that we understand this and then find ways that we can use, that we can mentor the people that we're working with. 60% of Gen Z employees prefer to receive feedback at least weekly, which to me was actually pretty surprising. The only person I let give me feedback weekly is my wife. And, and the fact that there is a communication gap, but they actually want to hear from you is something that I thought was interesting there. There's also a high importance on empathy from their leaders, while many millennial leaders might not prioritize that. Now, as we're sitting here, I know that so many of us prioritize empathy, otherwise we wouldn't be in this room. However, there is a large amount of millennial leaders right now who still look at their position as a position of authority, as opposed to a position of mentorship and opposed to coaching. And so when that happens, we don't allow the people below us or the people that we're bringing up to become leaders because they don't feel safe in their work environment. And then finally, 63% of those millennials actually feel the need for more leadership development. So the amount of people that are actually in the workforce right now, in leadership positions, who still feel like they need development is actually a pretty large number. So let's double tap into some of these millennial leaders and get real insights as to what they look for in their leadership and in the colleagues that they want to work with. So this is not just about the managers that they're working with, but what they expect from Gen Z coming up. Brooklyn Poe, the head of customer and anti-abuse operations at Snapchat says, while there might be hard skills required for certain positions, mastering interpersonal skills is something that sets a good leader apart from a truly exceptional one. And we kind of see this happening more and more quickly. Things like accounting, for example. We can input a P&L into ChatGPT, and it's going to give us the insights that we need to make a better business decision. So some of those hard skills might be phased out in the upcoming years. We look at Nikki Friess, who says that clear and articulate answers is what's most important to her. And then Jara Sutton, who says, while it can feel overwhelming to keep up, staying informed about the latest tech tools will make leaders more relatable to the younger generations they lead and set an example for dynamic thinking and efficiency. And so this brings up what you mentioned of just having to adapt to technology. People are living in it so much, but if we can be leaders that actually adapt to the technology and use it more frequently in how we're working on a day-to-day basis, we can be exceptional leaders as opposed to just good leaders. I also took a look at what Gen Z professionals are looking at from their leaders as well. Something that I'm really proud of here is that these three gals actually worked at Blue Light Media at one point and went on to different parts in their career. And so Sophia Caputo, who got to be the executive assistant for Robert Herjavec from Shark Tank, gives us the insight that what she's looking for is somebody who creates space to feel comfortable asking questions and to make mistakes. So we do have to create these environments where people can experiment without feeling like they're going to be punished for maybe having the wrong answer or a question that somebody might feel is quote unquote stupid. Angelica Janecki says that the biggest thing she looks for in a leader is great communication. A leader who can communicate their ideas, goals, feedback, and opinions in a clear and concise way. And then finally, Sierra Salzetti says, I look for leaders who are motivating, inspiring, and approachable. So what do we see here? What is that overlap that we're seeing between millennials and Gen Z? And everybody else sitting in this room, you told me earlier when we were talking about some of the challenges that we're seeing, is that communication is actually at the core of not just the challenges that we're seeing, but also what people are looking for in effective leaders. And as we know, if somebody can communicate well, they are often put in positions of influence, right? So we want to be able to use some of these tools like ChatGPT to help facilitate that. I want to say almost everyone was using ChatGPT or raised their hands when I asked if they were using ChatGPT in their daily lives. I'd love to learn how you're using ChatGPT in your daily life. So this can be personal or it can be at work. But if you want to raise your hand or I can pick on you again, it's up to you. Let's go.
I really want to know if I plan my vacations through ChatGPT.
Let's go. Let's go.
And my tours, I'm going to go different places, where I'm going to go, where I'm going to stay, because we usually fly somewhere and then do like a driving tour.
Yeah.
What should I see? What should I eat? Where
Yeah.
should I go? What should I do? All that good stuff.
I love that. The context makes it so much easier than like a Google search, right?
Right, right.
And as of today, we're not getting like 50 ads at first. Anyone else? Yes.
I use it for human resources type things. So I took the contract, the certificated contract, and I created a GPT. So I uploaded that, and so whenever I'm having some challenges and need to address it, I make sure that I ask it to help me to craft a improvement plan with some contract language and to make sure that it's aligned with the contract.
Awesome.
So that's always fun.
Yeah.
And then I also used it for a school plan for student achievement. I took it and then I said, compare it because I know the board is doing this. And they told us, right? So I said, I want to make sure that we're aligned with the board priorities. And then most recently, I'm crafting my welcome back letter. So I'm taking all of these different things, but I know it's too much information, so I'm trying to condense it.
Got it.
To more friendly.
Got it. I love that. Anybody else using it for work? Excuse me.
So when we're going to do some walkthroughs, what I've done is, so it's quick because I've been trying to visit the classrooms. I'll just type in like my look fors and what I saw, and so it'll give me some quick responses and generate some ideas for me to talk with either students or some teachers. So it gives me some talking points and some ideas to do.
That's awesome. I love hearing that.
I do it for certificates for teachers. So I do walkthroughs, and then I put in math teacher, ELL, she did this X, Y, and Z. So it gives me a little verbiage, and then I put it in the certificate and I give it to them and I put it in the wall.
That's great. Okay, cool. Has anybody gotten like an email or an assignment or something like that where it was like, for sure, this person used ChatGPT? Yes, you have?
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, and you kind of feel like, wow, like you didn't even try. But on the on the empathetic side, is like maybe they have challenges writing. I know that a lot of my teammates at Blue Light Media actually do have challenges writing emails and things of that nature, and that's like a big form of communication at our organization, and I'm sure even here, right? So it's all right that they use that, but sometimes when you get an output that doesn't fit the context, or it's just completely like kind of cold sometimes, like it's really obvious when that's used. I recently did a podcast with the founder of Pitted Labs. It's a fairly large Amazon agency, and we were talking about what it means to make business decisions. And he says the best business decisions are not made on a spreadsheet, and AI can't help you make those decisions because AI has not figured out empathy yet. And to a certain extent, I agree with him. But what I do think is that AI can also help leaders understand and empathize with their teams by enhancing communication and personalization. So what we're going to learn here and what we're going to go through is a framework that we might be able to use to get better outputs, to help us communicate better with the people around us, and also help us kind of amplify the empathy that we do have so that we can create better environments for the students or colleagues that we're working with. And I know not everybody is day-to-day working with students here, but I also believe that, not just I believe, I use this framework actually when I'm talking to, when I'm talking to clients or colleagues, but this was written in the context of an educator and a student named Alex. So the framework that we're using here is context setting, empathy and understanding, personalization, addressing a specific problem, and then getting actionable feedback. So when we're prompting ChatGPT, we want to describe the scenario and the relationship between the educator and the student in this case. From there, we also want to emphasize the need for understanding the student's specific struggles, highlighting the importance of showing genuine concern and support. We also want to personalize this. I forgot who mentioned it, but the personalization part is a key aspect of this. It's hard to get it personalized sometimes. We also want to state a specific problem, and then we also want to ask it for specific feedback. So when we use a framework like this, our prompt automatically becomes a little bit stronger and a little bit better. Just give you a moment. Got it? Amazing. This is now what the prompt is going to look like. As opposed to me, for example, how old was Robert Downey Jr. when he played Iron Man? Take a picture of my fridge. What can I make from this? That's a lot of what I use ChatGPT for. Now our prompt is full, and it will give us a better output. Here it says, I'm an educator working with a high school student named Alex who has been struggling with a recent assignment. Alex is a Gen Z student who prefers instant and frequent feedback. I want to communicate with Alex in a way that shows empathy and addresses specific needs. So now we're giving ChatGPT context to actually work with. Here are the key points I want to address in my communication, and you can see here I highlighted where we are using that framework. Alex has been feeling overwhelmed, balancing schoolwork and extracurricular activities. So Alex has been having a hard time getting his assignments in on time because he's a football player. Personalization, Alex prefers quick feedback and responds well to visual aids. We address a specific problem. Alex has been struggling with writing a clear thesis in their essays. And then finally, we're asking it for actionable feedback. Can you provide specific advice and steps that Alex can take to improve these statements? His thesis statements, I'm sorry. And then we end with, given this context, how can I craft a message that effectively communicates these points while being empathetic and authentic? Please provide specific language and suggestions to achieve this. Number one, I fully recommend using please just in case somebody's watching. And number two, one hack that isn't on here is if you feel as if you didn't give a proper prompt, simply ask ChatGPT, do you have enough information to execute this task? And it'll actually ask you for more information. So now, what we get is an output that we can actually use. Hi, Alex. I hope you're doing well, and I've noticed that you've been having some trouble with your recent assignments, particularly with writing clear thesis statements. What I love about what ChatGPT did here is because we need Alex to improve, it kind of skips a format that maybe a lot of us have used in the past, like the compliment sandwich of like, you're doing great here, but this needs to work, but you're going to be awesome. What I've noticed anyway is that the feedback actually gets lost in those compliments. And so we revisit the situation 3 months, 6 months down the road. And because there was no actionable feedback, because we fluffed it a little bit with the compliments, the problem that we needed to solve actually got lost. So ChatGPT takes that out for us. It also introduces the empathy that we were looking for. I want you to know that I'm here to support you every step of the way. And then it also gives us 5 actionable steps that we didn't even think about in the first place. Understand the prompt, be specific and clear, take a stance, keep it concise, revise and refine. Now, what I love about this is it expands upon what we already know. So for example, you or I might have coming up with 1, 2, and 3, but 4 and 5 might have been the magic points that Alex actually needed to thrive in that spot. So it's expanding upon what we're already doing. It doesn't replace us by any means. It just helps us think a little bit more clearly and a little bit more thoroughly. And it also gives an example here, which is something that I'm terrible at. It says, if your essay prompt is about the importance of renewable energy, a strong thesis statement might be renewable energy sources such as solar and wind power are crucial for reducing global carbon emissions and combating climate change because they provide a sustainable and environmentally friendly alternate to fossil fuels. The fact that it's giving an example as well, and we didn't have to think of that example, is crucial here. Because so many people, this addresses different learning styles. It gives step-by-steps and it gives examples. For me, I'm an example person more than a step-by-step person, right? But Alex could have been a step-by-step person. So I'd love to get some feedback from you real quick. How do you feel about this response? And before we go into it, I would like to address that if you're dealing with a student or even any sensitive like feedback, again, ChatGPT doesn't replace this to you. I would never recommend emailing this to somebody. But what it did is it gave me a framework to work with when I sit down and have a conversation with someone. I'll just write down on my hand, like, be nice. You know what I mean? But now we have these 5 steps. We have an example that potentially we didn't think about in the first place. But what do you think about this output compared to some of the outputs that you might have gotten when you were using ChatGPT? Sir? Or have you used it yet?
No, well, I have a question.
Sure.
It's related to this. I just came back from London and it's a long flight and I watched a ChatGPT tutorial or training. And the person says something that prompts are crucial. And I haven't tried it, but I'm asking you the question. And she said that one of the things that does it very well to improve the prompt for you.
Yeah, 100%.
So in a way that you can give ChatGPT, and we're not experts in prompts. And she gave you like different components of a prompt. But she suggested that it's very powerful when you ask ChatGPT, excuse me, to recreate the prompt for you.
Yeah.
I've never tried it, so
Yeah, 100%. And so that's a lot of the reason why I thought that this would be helpful, is because of my initial reaction when I started using ChatGPT to a situation like this was, Alex is missing his assignments. How can I help him? And it'll give me suggestions on what to do, but it lacks the communication part. So we first have to, one, understand, like we looked at in the beginning, what are the common grounds between generations, between the people that we're looking at? What do they look for in a leader? And we see good communication and being approachable are like the top two in both scenarios. So that is the part that we have to keep in mind. ChatGPT is not going to do that for us. But then, as you mentioned, if we can frame our prompts a lot better, we get powerful feedback. And something like this, again, might not be something that you email to somebody, but it could definitely be something that helps a conversation move forward and really give somebody an opportunity to learn and grow from that situation.
I think this is great because you're right. You do have to be specific and clear. When I first started using ChatGPT, I was kind of like, oh, such and such is happening. Give me a response. Give me a resolution. And it was kind of like, that's not really what I was looking for. Yeah. But then, we had a coach and he was really into AI, and he was like, you need to be specific. Ask it specific questions. Go ahead and add some more information. Be very specific. And once I started doing that, well, then I was in love with ChatGPT because I had a really bad attitude about it. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was like, like that. But anyway, I'm definitely a proponent now, just because, like I said, I learned how to better input the information to get what I wanted to get out of it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's something like, oh, go ahead. I was gonna say, it's like if you're planning a vacation, it's like you have to tell it that you're going to Costa, or like you're going to Sayulita in October as opposed to January, because the activities are going to be different, right? So yeah, go ahead.
Much along the same lines as Aaron, what I learned is I had to be more specific, and then as I added more, I realized, oh, I forgot this. So it kind of helped me out because it gave you different iterations of possible talking points, and so it gave you the opportunity to put your own perspective and your own emotions between the different versions.
Yeah.
And that's what I love.
I love that. Yeah, I love that. What's great about this as well is that we talked a lot about like developing empathy here. And when we understand that the outputs that we need to actually be effective here actually requires us to be empathetic, and it repeats that and repeats that and repeats that. It's actually training a muscle in us for us to think a little bit more critically and think a little bit more empathetically when we do address problems that we have. And so the same thing can actually happen for our students as well. And I think, or just people that we're working with in our organizations, right? So there are different things that we can do with ChatGPT, with our students, to help develop that empathy muscle. We'll just call it that for today. For example, empathy mapping, picking a character or a historical figure and using ChatGPT to generate questions that help students explore the character's thoughts, feelings, and motivations. So now we're using this tool to have conversations around how other people are actually feeling, what Iron Man would have said in a certain situation, and really have a lot of, different thoughts about this. And if we can help develop that empathy factor, our students, the people that we're working with, can actually be better leaders, because again, I actually didn't go to a formal university or anything like that, and I actually graduated high school. I wasn't joking when I said this is the first time I've been in a room with principals and not been in trouble. But I do feel that because I have some empathy, because I feel as if I can communicate well, that actually allowed me to do some really great things, I think, in my life, and even be here. Collaborative problem solving. This is something that I think is really important as well, because a lot of our younger generation, they're used to being by themselves and alone, and it's like their idea of socialization is just DMing people a lot of times. I don't want to make a big generalization, but I see this a lot, So if we can present a real world problem relevant to students' interests and current events, and we can use ChatGPT to facilitate brainstorming and solution development. And then finally, peer feedback in communication practice. I think this is a great one as well. We can assign a task or project for peer review and use ChatGPT to demonstrate how to give constructive feedback. And this is strong as well, right? Because as we were talking about before, a lot of people are really great at giving feedback, as at least that's what I noticed. But we're not necessarily great at giving actionable steps afterward to actually make us better at our jobs or the task that we had in mind. So I'm hoping that some of these ideas, that we have here will not only inspire some thought as to how we can integrate ChatGPT into our classrooms, into our workplaces, and really start developing empathy. But I also hope that it just allows you to use these tools in a slightly different way. I really wasn't joking when I mentioned that, like, I still use it fact checking at the dinner table like we used to do Google like 2 years ago only, right? Because I need the better context. But now these tools have really helped team members at Blue Light Media analyze data in ways that they never could have analyzed it before. They're communicating better with clients in ways that they haven't before. Their thought process, the one time that they thought through step 1, 2, and 3, and it got expanded with 4 and 5, now had them thinking of more possibilities, all because they decided that they wanted to adopt this. The tools that we have here, we know that this isn't something that's coming, it's here. Everybody's already using it. And it's a powerful tool, as simple as it is, but understanding how to use these well, and understanding that it's not just about the output, it's about the empathy that we have in creating prompts that are actually usable. Those are the things that's actually going to make us successful in the future. Those are the things that are going to make us better leaders, so we can make better leaders out of the generation after us. And that's what I have for you today. Thank you so much for being here. Do we have any questions? Do we want to discuss anything else? Yeah.
Like, in terms of ChatGPT's ability to get information and knowledge, what is it drawing from?
The internet.
So
the internet. And you can also give it information as well. So if you have a PDF, assignments, or anything like that, you can upload your own information also.
Is it also taking everybody's input, like questions and all of that, and kind of learning itself even more?
Yes.
So as more people use it, as more people put in questions in it or information in it, it's also kind of learning about how people are interacting with it.
100%. Yeah. There's also been, it's also said that ChatGPT over time will also learn about your preferences. So using good grammar is important. I personally think being polite is important, because if we get graded on how we use ChatGPT in the future, that could mean something. But it could learn tone, it could learn your preferences. So using good grammar, using your lexicon, that sort of thing are going to be important in that as well. Yeah. But I don't think what it's going to do, obviously, if it's going to cross-reference anything, it's like if you continuously say that 2 + 2 is 5, it won't tell me that. You know what I mean? But your tone and then how people interact in general.
So, Stephen, I just want to mention that's why when Jerry did his opening and talked about the AI compass, we all have to become very familiar with that. It's safeguards. So knowing what we know and knowing that all of these AI tools are learning, right? They're learning from us. We are learning from them. And I use ChatGPT Claude for like project tool right now. But I mean, I explore tools. It's really important that our kids are not using them until we have defined policies in place. So I have a few teachers who are actually using it with kids. They just don't want to violate any of their privacy, right? By adults, we can explore when we're adults. So the kiddos that we have trying and using any AI right now are really in high schools with parent permission and other safeguards in place. So when you see folks like Eric Timmons doing this great work, we put some guardrails around them, so just to give you that perspective.
And I have a question. I'd love some feedback from y'all as well. For those who are using ChatGPT on a regular basis, did you find the framework itself and then understanding that using a framework helpful in this presentation today? Okay, great. That makes me happy. I just want to be useful, y'all. That's all. I think we're like 3 minutes early. I'd love to sit and chat with everyone if you would like to. If not, feel free to have a little extra time between now and the next session. Yeah. Yeah.
I got this is a Xiaomi phone, Chinese phone, but I came with this. You can talk to ChatGPT.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, not on all of the phones. We can input it if needed. But yeah, talking to it is awesome. Yeah. Yeah.
A hard copy of your framework.
Yeah, totally.
You have my email, don't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know where you live too.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna ask them.
Objectively, what did you think?
You're wonderful. You're a great presenter.
Thank you.
Seriously, I'm like going, yeah, boy, you really do good work.
No.